Before we move on to the next song, Chris, I'm going to ask you, you've alluded there to the fact that Quo were a big influence on you musically when you grew up. It was something that your dad listened to.
Yes.
What were your other musical influences around you? Your brother's younger than you, so you're not going to have got influences from your brother. So I guess your musical influences come from your mum and dad. So what were they? Other than the Quo?
No, they used to have a local radio station in Manchester called Piccadilly, 1152, which probably predominantly was, I'd say, 50s, 60s, 70s. And that did get kind of ingrained in me, really. So it comes in handy when the song's on still now, and within about 6-7 seconds, I'm like, I know what that is. But at the same time, a lot of it, there's not many. It also makes me sad to think that, because there's a lot of radio stations now that don't play stuff from the 50s and 60s and 70s now. And certainly stations like Radio 2 have cut down on the number of older songs, and and you kind of hope that. I had hope though last week, because I was on the way to dropping the kids off at Breakfast Club, and I've started a new slot, playing the kids a Beatles song every morning. And I think at the first morning I played Get Back, and my daughter Josie and I were like, this is amazing. And then to the next morning I played a Mobladi Oblada, which went down a storm as well.
Very self-friendly though.
Yeah. I mean, let's not get into the risque stuff, but it was. But the point is, there's a lot of decent 50s, 60s, 70s songs. I thought, do you know what? They should still play this. I mean, it's I'd say Radio 2 now, if you're not listening to sounds of the 60s, I don't know when you'd hear a 60s song. Very rare.
Occasionally Ken Bruce drops stuff in. Probably of the daytime shows, he's probably the only presenter who would.
There's not many.
Certainly don't on the breakfast show or the tea time show with Zoe Ball and Sarah Cox.
No.
And Steve Wright, I guess he's too sort of 80s and above.
Yeah, I think you're right.
With his style of presenting.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, so there was no other. It was certainly the radio that they had. I mean, my dad used to like to listen to a show called Sweeney's 60s Classics. I think Mike Sweeney's still DJ now, but he didn't just play the obvious songs. He played a lot of songs that were obscure stuff as well as. So it was. There was some even now. If I'm at my dad's or watching something, my dad will go, "Who was that?" He'll still try to tell you, or I'll message it and I'll test my dad. So it's it definitely built up a back catalogue in my head of archives.
Who did your mum like listening to?
What's that?
Your mum.
Oh, well.
So your dad listens to the Quo.
My mum likes the Quo. I'm trying to think of favourite artists. My mum grew up with David Cassidy. I'm trying to think of other albums they had in the house. My dad grew up, certainly I'd say he was a Stones fan rather than a Beatles fan. And it's only recently I've kind of appreciated the Stones really, but they've got such a back catalogue and there's so many great songs out there. They had albums, I'm trying to think, they've had the CDs, they had Chris Rea growing up, but they had Fleetwood Mac, which we'll mention in a moment. So they had a very similar taste in music. I'd say I'd say they had a similar taste. I wouldn't say mum liked one type of said right. It was a very I think they liked similar music. Yeah.